KT taping the fingers. So this is a little bit different to some of the other taping videos. So far we've kind of been using big thick bits of tape. However, for fingers, especially if you've got little dainty hands, they need to be cut into very thin strips. Easiest way to do this is to get your tape. Measurement wise, ideally what we want is the thin bits of tape to just be a little bit more than finger length, okay? Nothing crazy. So we're going to take this, we're going to fold it in half. Try and get it nice and neat as well, guys, when you do it. And I would round as you go, okay? So we've got this, just going to round the edge off. Don't worry about this being perfect, we can sort it out at the end, we just need to get our strips first. Easy peasy. Then you'll see will look like this. This gives us a nice straight line that we can kind of just follow to ensure that our tape gets cut into two. Okay, then we're going to take this one and we're going to fold it over again. When you do this, guys, try and make it nice and neat. It just makes our life a lot easier. And again, around the edges a little bit. We're going to open it again, and you can see we have another little kind of line to follow on this edge. So I'm just going to follow this, and that will give me the perfect size strip for our fingers. Right. Going to do the same thing with this one. I'm going to fold it over. Here we go. And around the edges a little. And once again, I'm going to follow that line. You can see it's like a little valley. We're just going to cut straight through here. Again, with these guys, really see and get it, make sure you cut them neat. All right, so we end up with 4 strips that we now need to round the edges, okay? So this is where you can kind of take a little bit of time just making sure that they're nice and neat. Easy. Yeah. Small, thin strips, if we measure against Johnny's fingers, fingertip, and it's just a little bit bigger than his actual palm. And we're ready to rock and roll. However, I have some that I prepared earlier, and they're a little bit neater than the ones I've just cut, okay? For this, depending on how lax your fingers are and how much you want to tape and provide stability to them, I would say three strips. Then we can do each of the 3 joints on the finger, okay? Let's give you a close-up on Johnny's hand though, so you can see, you know, because this gets quite complicated, what we're actually doing. Okay, so taping the fingers is exactly the same for each finger, but I'm just going to show you a demonstration of one finger, okay? If you are kind of taping the little finger, you might have to cut your strips of tape even smaller. Now, the finger has 3 joints, okay? We have the MCP, we have the PIP, and we have the DIP. For most people, it's going to be the DIP that's very lax, and when they go to reach stuff, it bends the finger back, okay? What we want to do is use our KT tape, so it provides us kind of almost like an increase in muscle tone to keep the finger in a bit more of a flex state, so it limits how much it's going to bend back, gives you a lot more feedback to your brain about where the finger is, and it just makes your hands a little bit more stable when we're using them. Using the actual tape, getting the tape onto the fingers, okay, we're going to tear the ends just like this. But this time, what we're going to do is we're going to take the middle part off first. And where this is going is right here on Johnny's finger, okay? So if you spread your fingers for me nice and wide, Johnny, I'll tell you what, keep them there. And we're going to do this MCP joint first, okay? So we're going to put it just above the joint here on this part of the finger. Here we go, and we want it to be right in the center. I'm going to hold both of these bits of tape while I just give it a little bit of a rub, activate that adhesive, okay? Now, I'm going to let this side just drop. This side here, I'm going to pull the tape back. I'm going to grab it, and what I want to do is put about 20–30% of tension on here, okay? And I'm going to wrap it. If you move this finger out of the way so people can see, Jenny, That's it. So 20–30% of tension here. I'm going to pull the tape off, and that's our tape down point. Okay? Easy peasy. Hold on, I'm just going to readjust that because I'm not happy with it. There we go. No tension on the tape down points. Then I'm going to do the same thing for this bit of tape here. I'm going to pull the backing tape off. 20–30% of tension. And we're going to do it as a little cross, okay, a little X. Because these are going onto this part of the hands, guys, really just spend a minute really making sure that that adhesive's active, especially if we've got sweaty hands, because we don't want it kind of peeling off over time. Cool. So see when Johnny just relaxes his hands, it helps to just keep this MCP joint in a good position. Okay. Now, if we want to do the PIP joint here, we're just going to do the same thing. I'm going to take the tape, I'm going to tear the ends like such, pull the middle bit off, which is going to be our anchor point. And this time we're going to stick it for this joint, we're going to stick it over the actual joint. Okay, you see where there's little creases in Johnny's fingers there? That's where it's going on the opposite side. So if you get rid of your fingers, Johnny, that's it. I'm going to put it here, just over the joint, and get it centered, guys. That's it. I'm going to hold these two bits while I rub the tape. Make sure it's definitely sticky. And then same as last time, guys, we're going to get rid of one side. I'm going to focus on this side. Cool. If you spread those fingers, Johnny, that's it. Grab the end of the tape. I'm just going 20–30% of tension. Try and tape them in flexion as well, guys, these last two joints here. So we're just going to bend them a little bit. 20–30% tension. And then if you get rid of these fingers, Johnny, wrapping around the finger. And same thing again. Perfect. Pull it over. And to make your life easier as well, guys, sometimes you can try and tape it to the other bit of tape. Again, super important. Make sure, give it a good rub, get everything active within the adhesive. Okay, so if Johnny relaxes, he's got the MCP joint nice and stable. He's got the PIP joint nice and stable. For a lot of people, this will be kind of where you can stop. For people who are very hypermobile here in this DIP joint, we can, again, do it one more time. You can tear it off at the edges. Get it nice and centered. Again, see the little crease in Johnny's finger here. It's going on the back end of it. Now, with this one, guys, make sure you give it a good rub. And we're going to increase our stretch to about 50%. Okay, it's going to probably wrap around the finger twice. Going to peel the edges of the tip off. Oh, this is not having a fun time. Cool. Again, we'll go in like that little X. And make sure the very end point of the tip doesn't have any tension in. Give it a good rub. And then finally, I'm going to do this last piece. Make a nice X, 50% tension, tip it down. And just relax, Johnny. You see, Johnny's fingers from the MCP to the PIP to the DIP. Sounds a bit like a rap song, doesn't it? From the MCP to the PIP. And this should do him good if he was at college, if he was at school, kind of using the pen lots. Obviously, we use our hands. Some studies suggest up to 3,000 times a day, individual sessions. There's a lot of things that can go wrong when we're reaching. Things can bend backwards, can cause a lot of issues. This is just a really simple way and a pretty quick way compared to a lot of way that other people kind of tape fingers to just give it some nice and nice stability. A lot of people use ring sprints as well, and whilst they can be a pretty good kind of tool for your toolbox, simply just immobilizing the joint for long periods of times can really irritate the nerves that live here. You know, hands aren't fantastic structures. The small bones, not that many muscles, a lot of ligaments, a lot of nerves. So taping it just gives you a nice way where it gives you that tactile feedback to your brain. It gives you a little bit of kind of stability and support, but it doesn't completely immobilize the joint. It means you can still use it, flush those tissues with blood, keep those nerves happy.